This program is sponsored by Numbers USA.
Warning, the following program has been rated T for truth.
You can't handle the truth!
Oh, we think you can. Welcome to the Naked Truth Report with your host, truth warrior and mythbuster Kathleen Wells. The place where we distinguish fact from fiction, where data is used to drive points home, and where Kathleen takes the position that Democrats and black politicians have destroyed black America. Welcome to the Naked Truth Report. Now, your host, Kathleen Wells.
Oh, hi. Welcome to the Naked Truth Report. Listen, are you guys Super Bowl football fans? Are you watching the Super Bowl, or are you listening to my show? I don't know. Hey, listen, I've been doing the show for 5 years, and I don't know if you guys are fans of the Super Bowl. Can you imagine? I don't know that. Let's see. I think who's winning? The San Francisco 49ers. Yes, the last I looked. And they're in the third quarter. Gosh, this week was so fascinating, so interesting. So much went on, right? The Supreme Court reviewing the matter regarding whether or not Colorado can keep Trump off the ballot. That was interesting. In fact, I listened to the arguments from both sides, and we know that the Supreme Court is going to rule in Trump's favor. Why? Because, listen, all these folks, all these talking heads and legal analysts that get on TV, they're lying to the American people. They have an agenda they're trying to pump. And it's very disappointing when you have legal experts like the guy I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but I think it's Lawrence Tribe. Yeah. It's very disappointing when you have legal experts like Lawrence Tribe saying, oh, yes, it's reasonable, it's legal, it's sufficient that Trump was committed an insurrection, and therefore under Section 5 or Section 3 of the 14th Amendment, he should be precluded from being on the ballot. That's not what the Constitution say. That's not what the 14th Amendment say. And it was refreshing to see that the Supreme Court justices were actually following the law, following the Constitution. The Civil War amendments, that's the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendment, actually restrict state power, right? Because that was during the Civil War, those states were insurrectionists, the Confederate states. So they didn't want those states having power over the national government, over the federal government, exerting power. And that was one of the bases for what we know that the justices, it should be 9-0. Yes. And I can't imagine it not being, because I can't imagine one of the justices coming out and being embarrassed, because definitely Justice Jackson made it clear that first of all, her position was that, Trump is not listed, the president isn't listed as an officer. An officer is someone appointed to a position, not someone elected. The president of the United States is not an officer, and they exclude the president and vice president from the list of officers. So you didn't even have to get into the insurrection business, because Trump, the insurrection clause of the 14th Amendment does not apply to Trump. It doesn't apply to the president. So you don't even have to get into whether or not he committed an insurrection. And all those folks on TV, all those legal experts that spend so much time on TV arguing that President Trump was an officer of the United States, they were liars. Are they not good lawyers? And I know, that's what lawyers do. They make an argument. You have both sides making their argument, and that's what was happening in the Supreme Court. You see both sides, and the arbiter is the Supreme Court justices. And I can't imagine, the only one that would possibly come out in favor of precluding Trump from the ballot would be Sotomayor. But I can't imagine her doing that, because why? She wouldn't want to be embarrassed. She wouldn't want to look that bad, like, oh my God, this is so obvious. Also, it's important to have uniformity. You can't have one state deciding and I think this is something that Kagan said, you can't have one state, Justice Kagan, you can't have one state deciding who gets to vote in a federal election. Why would a state be able to do that? And it would end up, also Justice Roberts talked about, it would end up creating a mess. You wouldn't have uniformity. So yes, I think it's going to come up quickly. Also, the court is going to be looking at the immunity issue because the Court of Appeals decided I think it's in bulk when it's only three deciding, not the full Court of Appeals in D.C., decided that Trump did not have immunity. Now that should go to the Supreme Court also. But those D.C. Court of Appeals judges decided that he has to make an appeal within 6 days. I think he has to appeal it next week. And that usually, typically you get 30 to 60 days. You see how they're trying to rush everything? Everything is about precluding Trump from being president. But the main thing is what? The main thing is, the classified documents. Oh, and the main thing also is this, that the special counsel Hur said that this is the main thing. This is the main thing. This is the thing that should end everything. And this is the thing that should make all people feel like if you're voting for Biden, if you're defending Biden, if you're hanging with the Democratic Party, something is wrong with you. Because special counsel Hur came back and said what? In his report, he said that Biden lacks the memory. He's not sufficiently competent. His memory is failing, and it has been for the last 7 years ago. It was failing. And his memory is so bad that he can't stand trial. He willingly possessed classified documents. Yes, he's guilty. He violated the law. And one of the things that they never discuss on TV, these talking heads, is the fact that he was vice president and senator when he possessed classified documents in his garage. He didn't have the authority as a vice president and as a senator, also with Pence. They don't have the authority to possess classified documents and to declassify them. Trump does because he was president, and under the Presidential Records Act, he has the authority to do that. They never discuss it. I think Shannon Bream was discussing it on Fox, and she doesn't raise that. They never say, well, Trump was president and Biden was vice president. This guy Biden is no good. And I can't believe people who defend Biden aren't playing. They don't understand the law. They don't understand the Constitution. They just hate Trump. Why, we don't know. Why would American citizens not be for America first? That is the question. We are all Americans. Why wouldn't you be for American first? And there's audio. Did I send you the audio, Ryan, let's see, Biden saying that we welcome illegal aliens we welcome them. It is to our benefit to have illegal aliens into the United States. This is something that we welcome. Did I send you that audio, Ryan? I don't remember. I just have the Robert Kennedy audio. Oh, that's a good one. The Robert Kennedy audio. Oh, this is the one. Also, this is the other thing I want to say. Anyone that tries to convince you to hate other people or to preclude you from having to preclude you from having information, anyone who tries to limit your knowledge base or censor your information or convince you to hate others is not a good person. They're not on your side. You should not listen to them, okay? And so this is the thing about, what do I want to talk about now? The interview with Tucker Carlson and Putin. People are actually, listen, Chris Wallace was actually calling him. I mean, they're like name calling Tucker Carlson. Chris Wallace and Hillary Clinton. These people, when you are precluding the American people from having information, just like they were censoring the information before on the vaccine, right? So when someone is precluding, limiting your knowledge base, limiting the information that you have access to, they are your enemy. They are not a good person. They're trying to control the narrative. They're closed-minded. They have a narrative, they have an agenda, and they don't want you to see the full picture. This is where the name calling comes in. Calling Putin a dictator as if you cannot get information from. Listen, Putin has a better perspective of what his relationship is in Russia with Ukraine, and he can explain things better than someone who is not in Russia dealing with Ukraine. He can explain things from his point of view. That's what I'm going to say. In other words, you need to have everything. All the totality of circumstances. You need to have everything, and then you assess it, you do your research, and then you decide who is more credible. But to preclude people from actually hearing anything is a bad thing. So I really enjoyed that interview that Tucker Carlson did with Putin. It was extremely informative, extremely, because we never get this point of view. And this is what I'm saying about our media. We get a slap, and we should all realize this now because of it, like Trump calls it, fake news. We should all realize this now by the way they've treated Trump, by what they did with regards to Hunter's laptop and COVID. You see, we should what they did with regards to the 2020 election. They are censoring. They are boxing us into limited information. And the notion that these folks are actually trying to give $60 billion, we can't even close our own border unless we give $60 billion to Ukraine. To fight a war, according to Colonel McGregor, is finished, it's done. To fight a war that Putin, that we learned from the interview, would like to settle, would like to negotiate. And this is why we know that Trump, when he says, it would never have started with me, because he would have negotiated with Putin. And there would never be a war in Ukraine. And the people who defend Biden, they only look at one point of view. They don't see the full story. They don't have the full story, so they don't know what's going on. This is why we don't want politicians, because they're all corrupt. They're all dirty. They're no good. They're all lying. In other words, we have to give $60 billion to Ukraine for what? It's corruption. It's corruption. It's a money laundering scheme. They're bioweapons in Ukraine. This is absurd that the politicians are lying to the American people. Why? Because they don't have our interests. They're controlled by the deep state, CIA, globalists, the political elites. They don't have the interests of the American people. So let's listen to the audio from RFK Jr., please.
This is a war that should have never happened. It's a war the Russians tried repeatedly to settle on terms that were very, very beneficial to Ukraine and us. The major thing they wanted was for us to keep NATO out of the Ukraine. The big military contractors want to add new countries to NATO all the time. Why? Because then that country has to conform its military purchases to NATO weapon specifications, which means certain companies, Northrop Grumman, Raytheon, General Dynamics, Boeing, and Lockheed, get a trapped market. In March of 2022, we committed $113 billion. Just to give you an example, we could have built a home for almost every homeless person in this country. We then committed another $24 billion since that 2 months ago, and now President Biden's asking for another $60 billion. But the big, big expenses are going to come after the war, when we have to rebuild all the things that we destroyed. Mitch McConnell was asked, can we really afford to spend $113 billion to Ukraine? He said, don't worry. It's not really going to Ukraine.
It's going to American defense manufacturers.
So he just admitted it's a money laundering scheme. And who do you think owns every one of those companies? BlackRock. So Tim Scott, during the Republican debate, said, don't worry, it's not a gift to Ukraine, it's a loan. So raise your hand if you think that loan's ever getting paid back. Yeah, of course it's not. So why do they call it a loan? Because if they call it a loan, they can impose loan conditions. And what are the loan conditions that we impose on them? Number one, an extreme austerity program so that if you're poor in Ukraine, you're going to be poor forever. Number two, most important, Ukraine has to put all of its government-owned assets up for sale to multinational corporations, including all of its agricultural land, the biggest single asset in Europe. In Ukraine, there's been 1,000 years of war fought over that land. It's the richest farmland in the world. It's the breadbasket of Europe. 500,000 kids almost, Ukrainian kids, have died to keep that land as part of Ukraine. They almost certainly didn't know about this loan condition. They've already sold 30% of it. The buyers were DuPont, Cargill, and Monsanto. Who do you think owns all of those companies? Yeah, BlackRock. And then in December, President Biden gave out the contract to rebuild Ukraine. And who do you think got that contract? BlackRock. So they're doing this right in front of us. They don't even care that we know anymore, because they know that they can get away with it. And how do they know that? Because they have a strategy. And that strategy is an old strategy, which is they keep us at war with each other. They keep us hating on each other. They keep the Republicans and Democrats fighting each other, black against white, and all these divisions that they sow.
Yeah, they keep these divisions that they sow. And Tucker Carlson should be congratulated for his interview with Putin, not derided. It's the end of the dollar as the prime reserve currency. Putin talked about how Biden is using economic warfare to break the back of Russia. The Central Bank of Russia has about $300 billion in U.S. Treasury. Biden wants to seize this to fight the war in Ukraine. This will end up being a default because other countries will see that, if we buy U.S. Treasuries, it's possible that the U.S. can seize that money to fight a war or something else, do something else nefarious. So it's all dirty business, you see. Now, this is something else that Putin talked about. I think it's so, did you guys listen to that interview? I think it's important that you all listen to that interview because, you see, Colonel McGregor was telling us that 500,000 Ukrainian soldiers have died. 60,000 Ukrainian children are missing. John Mearsheimer talked about there are not enough ammunitions to fight the war with Russia. They don't have enough ammunition. Not alone, they don't even have enough soldiers that will fight this war. So what are we doing? And yet our politicians are not securing our border. They keep this border bill is telling us, listen, we need to get a border bill. This is what the Democrats are trying to sell to the American people. And the only people that are buying it are people who aren't paying attention. We need to secure the border with this border bill. Well, that border bill wasn't securing the border. It was allowing 5,000 illegal aliens into the United States a day. Okay? And then it would, after 5,000 were in a day, then it would activate, let's minimize who's coming in. So this is a miserable issue that they're doing. This is this is gaslighting that these politicians. Now, 13 Republicans have voted, they voted on a bill, this afternoon. And 13 Republicans went along with it. It's a Ukraine funding, it's Israel funding, and it's, I think it's money to Taiwan. And also, I think it's those three things, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not looking at my notes. But 13 Republicans voted on this. Now, that border bill is not going to get to the House because it's dead on arrival. There's no way that any House Republicans will vote on that. Because it was codifying, I talked about this last week, it was codifying the invasion of America. We don't want that. Well, it'll never happen. We have almost 10 million illegal aliens in the country under Biden's watch. And you can close the border, you can secure the border without a bill. They already have the mechanism, an executive order to close the border. And Biden refuses to do it. They're destroying America, and anyone that is supporting Biden has their head screwed on wrong, and they're not paying attention. Let's see, what else do I want to talk about? I wanted to mention the things something that Putin said. He said that Putin mentioned that 4 times he had discussed with folks over the years about cooperating with the West. being a part of the West, being in NATO himself, working with them in cooperation. And it is the CIA, the deep state in America, that doesn't want to work with Russia. They want to maintain this tension between the two countries. Why? Because they benefit from this economically. The military contractors, this is what Eisenhower talked about, the military industrial, and now we know it's a pharmaceutical or medical complex, you see. It's all about money and control, and Biden is merely a figurehead of these folks, these globalists, these political elites who are taking advantage of the American people. They don't have our interests, and this is what they talk about on Bannon talks about this explicitly on his War Room show. You should listen to it. He makes it very clear that they hate us, actually, and everything is crap that they talk about. So anybody talking about anything that these politicians go, this is why I'm surprised that you see people on TV and in the radio business talking about fighting the Ukraine war. These people don't have the interest. We don't need to spend money on Ukraine. Because what Trump is saying is right. This war didn't have to be fought at all. We are for America first. The American people are losing. Karen Bass is doing nothing regarding the homelessness. You still see homeless people all up and down Robertson Boulevard and Venice and Washington and downtown, all over. Don't you see homeless folks everywhere still sleeping? What is she doing? I'm so disappointed in our politicians. Trump has helped us to realize that we are being taken advantage of by D.C., by our politicians. They don't care about us. They don't have our interests. It's all crap that they're telling us. It's like a show. It's a charade. It's not anything real. We'll come back from the break. This is Kathleen Wells' The Naked Truth Report, and I'll be right back.
From both sides now, from up and down, still somehow it's cloud illusions I recall. I really don't know clouds at all. Moons and Junes and Ferris wheels, the dizzy dancing way that you feel as every fairy tale comes.
Hi, welcome back to the Naked Truth Report. I'm your host, Kathleen Wells. So Tucker Carlson, in Tucker's interview with Putin, Putin mentioned that Biden is actually using economic warfare to break the back of Russia. The end of the dollar as prime reserve currency is important. This is why you want to give our folks at Midas Gold Group a call, because they're a hedge. Gold is a hedge against turbulent times and has been for the last 5,000 years. Gold is at an economic high. Give our folks at Midas Gold Group a call at 805-601-6000. That's 805-601-6000, or online at MidasGoldGroup.com. That's MidasGoldGroup.com. So let's talk about these things. I want to mention go over the summary of things that Putin mentioned about what he's been asking. Let's see. Hold on. U.S. Secretary of State James Baker, 1999. We understand the need for assurances to the countries in the East. If we maintain a presence in Germany, that is a part of NATO, there will be no extension of NATO's jurisdictions for forces of NATO 1 inch to the east. Current CIA Director William Burns, former U.S. Ambassador to Russia in 2008. NATO enlargement, particularly to Ukraine, remains an emotional issue for Russia. Russia's Ministry of Foreign Affairs press briefing 2008. A radical new expansion of NATO may bring about a serious political military shift that will inevitably affect the security interests of Russia. Vladimir Putin in 2024. The promise was that NATO would not expand eastward, but it happened 5 times. There were 5 waves of expansion. We tolerated all that. We were trying to persuade them. We are saying, please don't. He's willing to negotiate and sit down and find a peace to stop the killing. And yet Zelensky and they've actually, in Ukraine, they were, I think Saturday they were uprising because Zelensky fired the general in Ukraine. So there have been uprising and protests in Ukraine regarding the general that they fired. So the Ukrainian people are sick of it, okay? The American people are sick of it. Protesters gathered and keep calling for the return of top general Valery Zaluzhny and the resignation of Zelensky. So the Ukrainian people are calling for the resignation of Zelensky. And yet here in the United States, they said Zelensky, this is what Nancy Pelosi and all these other figureheads in D.C. said, politicians in D.C. Zelensky was the next Winston Churchill. These politicians are crapping on the American people. They're lying to us about everything. Everything is propaganda and everything is lying. And Tucker Carlson needs to be applauded for what he has done with that interview. I hope people watch it, go and see it. It's on Rumble. Also, the FBI has warned that they're getting more threats, terror threats, more than what they received before 9/11. Listen, an illegal alien from Venezuela was shooting in a crowded store in New York City. You see, Trump was right. Trump's right about everything. But you guys are on the same page as I am, so you know he's right. I want to know, who are these people that don't see that Trump is right? Who are these people that are still deriding Trump, still denigrating him? All of these cases against Trump should go to the Supreme Court. In fact, the case in Florida, Judge Cannon it's likely she may dismiss the case that Jack Smith brought regarding the classified documents. Because why? Because Biden's case was dismissed. Or Biden didn't have a case lodged against him, although he willfully possessed documents as a vice president, as a senator, and he wasn't authorized to do so. So since no charges were brought against him, no charges should be brought against Trump. So that case should likely be dismissed. Then the one in Georgia should be dismissed also, because this woman has been using, Fannie Willis, she's been using state and federal funds for her own. It's a mess what's going on in Georgia. And I hope the American people see the wool that's been pulled over their eyes regarding everything from D.C. for decades. This is what Trump is making us realize. It's all, our money is being wasted. Listen, the streets in L.A., we pay taxes and the streets are still raggedy in L.A. I talked about that 5-6 years ago. They still haven't fixed it. And yet they're bragging about an infrastructure bill. You see, it's all hogwash. Anyway, let's take a call now. Hi, Linda. Welcome to the Naked Truth Report.
Hey, Kathleen, since you mentioned Karen Bass, I heard, was it yesterday or the day before?
Uh-huh.
That Karen Bass, when she was talking about her homeless
initiative,
what was it called, shelter in place, or whatever it was called.
Uh-huh.
It's all a cover up. She keeps calling it, for homeless and all this stuff. Covering it up all this time. It's for illegal aliens. It's not for homeless.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And, I also saw recently that let's see, in Boston, they're actually asking the residents to take in illegal aliens. Can you imagine? And I saw on X that one couple said, we'll take in a family of 4 of illegal aliens. Can you imagine?
I think I heard that.
Yeah, I don't know if that was true or not. That may have been a PR move, but because I can imagine people taking in an elite. You don't know who these people are. You don't know what.
And I also heard that San Francisco has a large population of Chinese, and they vote. Chinese citizens, and they vote.
Chinese what?
Chinese, citizens from China, and they vote.
Well, they're
not American citizens.
Oh, illegal aliens, illegal aliens, and this is another thing. They
China. They vote up in San Francisco. I heard.
Well, listen, and there's another thing that mainstream media did to the American people. They changed the wording of stuff. Where people say migrants, they're immigrants. They're not immigrants. If you come to the country illegally, you're not an immigrant. You're a legal alien. And you have no respect for our laws because this is the term used in our federal documents. Illegal alien. Okay? These are, the federal code says illegal alien, not immigrant. An immigrant is someone who comes to the country legally, okay? So the media folks this is what RFK Jr. said. Washington Journal is a prime example. They love the division between the American people because that's how they can steal us blind while we're fighting amongst ourselves. You see, they love this division. And this is what Washington Journal is. Every day, this is disgusting. It's Democrats and Republicans, and they get off on it. When it should be Americans, not Democrat, Republican. They love this division. All of the social media is division between hating Trump. Every American should be for America first. Every American. And anyone that isn't doesn't have their head screwed on straight. This is what I've been saying. The media is a tool of the CIA because they love this division. They're not the fourth estate. They're supposed to be the fourth estate. They're supposed to be disclosing to the American people what the government is doing wrong. But yet they're working for the government. The media. Yeah. This is why there's alternative media now. Bannon's War Room. Right, Linda?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Well, do you have anything else?
I thought something happened with the phone.
Okay. Do you have anything else to say, Linda?
No. With that silence, I just thought something happened with the phone.
Well, listen, did you watch the football? Are you a football fan?
No, I'm not. I'm not any sports fan.
Oh, okay. You missed it. I don't know how the game ended. Maybe Raul will tell me how the game ended. I'll take his call. Okay. When I left, it was 10 49ers and 3 Kansas City. I saw the third quarter. Are you a football fan, Raul?
Oh, hi, Kathleen. No, I'm not. I've never been in football. My sports are baseball and basketball.
Oh, I love baseball.
You know, Kathleen,
baseball. Wait, let me talk.
Sorry?
I'm talking. Baseball is my favorite sport. Yeah, baseball is my favorite sport. But you don't know the score in the game?
Oh, no. No, I don't know. I really haven't keep an eye on it.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, what it all boils down to regarding what I refer to as the Democrat globalist, Marxist, socialist slavery party is that they have a contempt for Americans.
Yes.
Okay, they have a contempt for the Constitution of the United States of America because look what they're doing, and they have a contempt for the Los Angeles City Charter locally because they refuse to enforce the charter. Okay, you have, like, say, 4115, the unlawful removal and use of a shopping cart. You know, that there's a law against that. And where do you see shopping carts? They're all around these encampments. They steal them. They throw them in the LA River. They throw them everywhere. They're all over the place. Okay, there's various. Loitering. All that stuff that's going on. There's laws against that. But these corrupt politicians in the city council and the mayor have decided that this is fine. They're going to live in your neighborhood. They're going to live in motorhomes, in recreational vehicles, living out of their car. In your neighborhood, Kathleen.
Well, they want you to invite illegal aliens into your home.
Oh, see, that's the contempt I'm talking about. They're dumping these people on us, and they're destroying our quality of life. Now, let me
ask you, Raul, would you invite an illegal alien into your home?
Oh, of course not. Because, no, of course not. These people are not being vetted. You don't know what You don't
know who they are.
Their desire is not to learn English, not to assimilate, not to be American. Their desire, if they're good, is just to work and to send money back home, and those remittances that they send millions of dollars back to Mexico and Central America now. But, can I cite an example of how disgusting District 1 is, and that's Ulysses Hernandez's district, who's a criminal coddler who endorsed Gascon for re-election.
What area is District 1?
Here, this is Highland Park.
Okay,
you know what we have here at 5224 Baltimore Street? we have an individual living in front of his house in an encampment. He set it up between the sidewalk and the street, which is the parkway. They call it the parkway. I spoke to the people that live there, and they say he's an undesirable. He's a family member. They want him away. They say, go to a homeless shelter. We don't want you in the house. He had the encampment in the front yard, inside their property. They kicked him out on the street. I've been trying to get him removed from the sidewalk because once these what I call vagrants, so I don't call them homeless people, when these homeless vagrants see that, they're going to say, hey, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to go to mom's house or dad's house, and I'm going to set an encampment right up in front of their house. And you're going to see a lot more of that in the neighborhood. See, right now, what we have to tolerate is them being in front of a business or in a parking lot or on a side street. Now, can you imagine them in front of your house? Or
But did you call in? Who did you call and complain?
Oh yeah, I called the city council and nothing's been done. Her name is Myra Jimenez, who works for Ulysses Hernandez, and they, how this is so disgusting because that administration is only open 3 days. Okay, only 3 days, and they're in another section. They used to be here in Highland Park. They're over more toward Eagle Rock now, and they're only open for 3 days, and that's intolerable because you have the other administrations are open 5 days a week, and they have 2 offices. And then also, if you call 311, they have an option number 2 for homeless encampments. But you know what they do, Kathleen? They just go up and they'll just clean up, right, like maids, and then they'll let them come back to the location. They just disinfect it. That's all they basically do, but they do sometimes succeed, and they offer them services. That's what they say. Well, Raul, we'll go out. Okay, where's this location? We're going to go out in a couple of weeks, and we're going to offer them services. We're going to see what they got. This is what the city council says, right? 311 will say, we'll go out and assess the situation, and then we'll see if they want to take services also. So they work in tandem with the city council, but a lot of times they're stubborn. They don't want to go anywhere, so they just stay where they just clean up and they just stay there. So it's like a no-win situation until we get some Republicans in the city council are going to enforce the charter. The charter is being disrespected. They swore to support the charter, Kathleen, when they took the oath. That has all our ordinances against vagrancy, against loitering, against panhandling.
Well, listen, you're speaking to the choir. Okay, because this has been going on we didn't get here overnight. This has been going on for decades. This negligence, this recklessness. Exactly. And yet LA people keep voting for these Democrats. So the people of Los Angeles, the voters of Los Angeles are the problem. They're the problem.
Well, California is a mess. I mean, they vote. Look at Newsom. We tried to get him out of there, and he got reelected. This is a state problem. And I think we have a state full of Marxists and communists and socialists. Now we have 3 members of the city council who are members of the Democratic Socialists of America. That's Hernandez, Soto Martinez, and Rahman. Go to their districts. There's sewers. People living with zombies walking in the street with no shoes, mumbling to themselves, walking into restaurants and walking into supermarkets, and that you go to Sherman Oaks is a mess now. I don't know if you're familiar with Sherman Oaks.
Yeah, but you can imagine
it used to be a wonderful place,
right? And San Francisco's bad. You see, I even saw.
God. You know what? Gascon was DA of that city for 2 decades. Was it for 2 administrations? 8 years? He was up there.
Well, you know what? It's going to end up like that movie. There's a movie. I saw a video of a guy in New York City actually defecating in a garbage bin on the street in public.
Oh, I saw that video. My friend shot it to me. Yeah, he's on Fifth Avenue in New York.
Yeah, can you imagine?
He's sitting on the receptacle,
right?
And then he wipes his rear end. That's disgusting.
I know.
But that's where we are now.
That's where we are. It's like dystopia or something like that, or some movie where it's just like idiocracy. You see. It's just up to, and they're trying to listen. This is what I can't get over. They're trying to convince us that, you see, this is what they would say. You saw what happened on January 6th. You see it with your own eyes, but no, we didn't see all the footage because there are 200 federal assets dressed as Trump supporters leading people through the Capitol and leading them to Nancy Pelosi's office. We didn't see all the footage, but we can be assessing Biden for the last 3 years, and we see it in our face how he can't operate effectively and competently. He doesn't know what he's talking about. Okay, we've seen that.
He's obviously a puppet. He's a puppet, Kathleen. But can I throw something real quick regarding January 6th. Do you notice something about how they were handling the cameras that day? Did you notice that they didn't show the crowd? They just showed the president up there, right? President Trump. They refused to pan around and to see the thousands of people that showed up.
Well, they never show that.
Because the president was saying, "Hey, why don't you pan your cameras, and show how many people are here?" They refused to do that. See, that's suppression of free speech. When you're not letting the American people know how many people showed up for this, because a lot of people are upset about this election, and I feel it was stolen.
Right.
I do believe that.
Okay, let's take our last call from Dave. Hi, Dave. Welcome to the Naked Truth Report.
Hi. Good evening. Now, you may not have much luck with this in Los Angeles. I understand that because of Gascon on that crazy city council. But in other cities like Whittier, now, there are some basic laws that people don't understand, and it's going to help them if you just know them greatly. Okay, and here they are. And I was told this by our own police department. There is a California law that forbids camping in tents anywhere. So use that, people. Now, there is a difference. On a sidewalk where you walk in and there's people homeless sleeping on the sidewalk, they can't remove them. The other one is that if you see if anyone's on your business, you're leasing a space and you're running your business in a shopping mall, a strip mall, and you have some money in camping on your property, you by law have the right to have them removed because they can't do that. They cannot camp. They cannot be outside sleeping, whether it's a tent or whatever, on that private property, whether it's your home or a business. So, folks, let's use that until Gascon's out, but that's going to help you. And they can't camp on a library back door. I called someone and got removed. I know they told me that also. You cannot camp on government property.
Well, I don't think that applies for Los Angeles.
Well, with them it doesn't because they don't want to follow the law.
Right, and we live in Los Angeles. Well, they're not following the law regarding anything. They don't care about us at all.
They're a bunch of anarchists full of baloney.
And this is why we have to vote Trump in, right?
Right, we have to, and we got to get these Democrats out of your city. Council start locally, but those are some basic laws and use them, folks. Employ them. When you see somebody camping on somebody's property or sleeping out there, call the police on them. Tell business owners, inform business owners about that law because they may not even know themselves.
No, the laws don't matter anymore. We're in anarchy. We're in anarchy.
We're talking about other cities that are more conservative and people just don't understand the law. There are Orange County and right near Orange County, it works, okay? But like L.A., they're a bunch of depraved imbeciles and they need to go. But just use it. Use the law in your city when you can, as you can. But in L.A., they're corrupt.
Okay, thank you, Dave. Listen, they're tied 16-16, the 49ers and the Kansas City Chiefs, and they're in the fourth quarter, and there's 5 minutes and 46 seconds to go. Yeah, that's what's happening. That's the Super Bowl. We'll see you next week. Thank you for listening.
This program was sponsored by Numbers USA.
Numbers USA is the largest grassroots advocacy organization in the United States with over 8 million members and supporters. Numbers USA's sole focus is immigration, and it believes better immigration policy is both needed and possible. Founded solely by author Roy Beck in 1996 to champion the recommendations of the National Commission on Immigration, chaired by civil rights icon Barbara Jordan. In his latest book, Back of the Hiring Line, Roy Beck clearly shows how high immigration has, in wave after wave, adversely and disproportionately impacted Black American jobs and wealth. Today, America is faced with an unprecedented influx of illegal immigrants flooding into our country by the millions. This influx disproportionately impacts Black Americans as well as first-generation Latino Americans and legal immigrants lawfully pursuing naturalization. Numbers USA continues to advocate for sensible immigration policies that ensures American safety, promotes economic fairness while protecting the environment and quality of life. To get a copy of Roy's book, Back of the Hiring Line, visit backofthehiringline.com or on Amazon and learn more about Numbers USA. Take action and get involved now by logging on to numbersusa.com. That's numbersusa.com.